Hello, good morning. HanK again. Starting to get used to doing the YouTube thing. Still not a professional by any means, but I do find it to be rather therapeutic, if you will. To me, it's almost like talking to a counselor or something. I don't know. I do know it helps me feel better and get through the day a lot smoother. I guess complaining makes a difference for a person, right? So, but today I woke up kind of not looking forward to having to get out of bed. I know this is a common thing for many people, and it might sound funny. It really, really does, because it's so commonly joked about how everyone dreads having to wake up and go to work and start their day. But a typical day for myself starts with feeling sick. And I usually start feeling sick somewhere around 3 a.m. And then I start to experience pain. And the pain that I'm experiencing isn't because I was laying in bed for too long. It's pain from parts of my body where I experienced or had an injury while I was on active duty. And I'm getting to my point. I'm just sharing with you kind of how a daily progress for me works. And so at around 5:30, the pain becomes so bad that it literally will make me throw up. And I don't go back to sleep. So the first thing that I can do is reach out for either narcotics or Kratom. As you know, the government has identified our time as a crisis for narcotics because of the abundant use of society. And there's a big push to get narcotics back under control or whatever, because it used to be that you go to the doctor and say, I got a headache, and they give you oxycodone. That's far-fetched, I know, but the joke about obtaining narcotics was that it was easy to do. That's my point on that. And now you can go in and your arm be all misshapen and deformed because it's broken, and they no longer want to provide you with that comfort because of the narcotic factor. So the doctors will start to issue non-narcotic medicines, and as we've learned, some of the non-narcotic medicines they provide does not work, does it? I mean, half the time the narcotics don't work. Well, more than half the time, the narcotics won't even help with my pain. So all I would be doing if I did take the narcotics would be feeding another sickness, because having been exposed to taking narcotics for an extended period of time, I have learned that your body becomes dependent. And you're told this. I mean, people explain this to you, like the doctors and nurse practitioners and such will explain how addictive narcotics is. But yet, it's one of the most suitable means of pain relief that we have established today, until Kratom came along. Now, for years, I could only take narcotics because that was the only thing that was provided to me. I was on active duty military, so I couldn't explore into other possibilities for pain control because of the threat of urinalysis and drug testing and whatnot. So I was afraid to find another and better means to control my pain. So for years, since I'd say starting back to 2013 to about 2016, I was getting ketamine infusions. I was having, I was taking Dilaudid extended release. I was taking oxycodone, oxycontin, hydrocodone, morphine. I literally had every single one of these medicines in my safe at home, where I had to keep them under lock and key, because that's one of the required responsibilities when possessing narcotics. Because if someone else gets caught with your narcotic bottle with your name on it, you're in hot water, buddy. So, I mean, there's just too much of a risk involved when taking narcotics. And when I was taking all those narcotics back in 2013 to 2016, I didn't know any better, because I was in so much pain. It was worse then than it is now, but it's hard to imagine because I still deal with the pain every day. But the pain was so bad then that I actually couldn't touch the pain with any of the medicines. So I found myself needing more. And then I learned or realized that I had become dependent on narcotics. And when I learned of that, I stopped. I mean, it was hard, yes, but I didn't go through counseling or anything like that. I knew that narcotics was bad, so I decided to stop cold turkey. Bad idea, because up to that point, I'd never gone through withdrawal, because I'd never been exposed or required to take addictive meds. So right after I had decided to stop taking them, I took the pain medicine, dumped them into a bag of coffee grounds, wet coffee grounds, shook them up really good, let them get disposed, and then threw the rest of them in the trash, leaving me without anything, which was a bad idea, because after about 24 hours, my body started really fiending for narcotics. After about 36 hours, I was shaking, sweating, having cramps. And the pain, I thought the pain I was experiencing was bad, but this made everything worse. Because coming off of narcotics, you're removing the one chemical in your body that is providing a buffer between you and the real pain that you're supposed to be taking the pain medicine for. Once that pain medicine wears off, well, that pain's back. And then on top of that, now you got to go through the addiction withdrawal. And let me tell you what, the addiction withdrawal process is a monster. For anyone that understands what I'm talking about, you've either gone through it or you've witnessed it. And it is not a pretty picture. It can get really messy. Convulsions, vomiting. Some people even pee and poop on themselves. I mean, it gets pretty severe. But for me, I was in the hospital for about a week to clean out my system. Because when I started to go through withdrawal, I thought I could muscle through it. And in the middle of the night, I woke up convulsing. And I rushed to the hospital where I collapsed and learned that my body had suffered a withdrawal attack and I had to be weaned off of it. But I finally got off the narcotics, free and clear, completely on my own. But it didn't help the pain. I did not have anything to help me with the pain. And the pain was so significant that it was controlling my everyday activity. I could not function as an active member in society. I couldn't even engage in playing with my 6-year-old kids. They would want to go and play chase, and I'd have to tell them I can't do that because it hurts too bad. They don't understand that. I mean, the the look on my kids' faces when I tell them I can't play because I'm in too much pain, it's hard, because I went 22 years in the military so I could retire to spend my last days and every waking moment that I can with my wife and kids. And now, through all the injuries and pain that I've endured, I find myself limited, as if I was disabled to the point where I can't function, and that's upsetting. So what I'm getting at, I was searching for something that can give me a breakthrough through the pain. Now, on top of pain, I have PTSD and depression and all these other factors that weigh in when you're dealing with pain, combat images, traumatic brain injury from the injuries sustained while on active duty. I mean, you name it, I probably experienced it. I'm just fortunate to say that I've still got all my fingers and toes. I'm lucky. But I retired from the military in 2016. And the reason this is important is because it gives you an idea of how fast I was able to recover or find a replaceable source. And I got to Florida and learned that there was this substance called Kratom. And there was a lot of buzz about it when I first got here in 2016. And this is driving me nuts. I'm gonna have to glue the phone or the camera in its place because the camera keeps sliding. And I apologize about that. I'm not a professional, like I said. This is pretty amateur stuff. I don't do any editing or accreditations because it's just me. But anyway, so I get to Florida where I plan to live my life out, and I learn of this item called Kratom. And I start doing a little bit of investigating to find out more about it, and I learned that Kratom was identified to help with pain, depression, anxiety, and there were extra benefiting factors such as helping people focus and making it so that you can focus so you can learn, which helps me because I'm going back to school, which is significant when I'm sitting in a group of people because I have severe PTSD, and the Kratom seems to help that as well. But anyway, so I wake up this morning and I was in all this pain, and this is a daily process for me. So rather than just sitting there and enduring the pain, I got up and made some Kratom tea. Now let's go back on Kratom. What is Kratom? Kratom is a tea that is a family member of the green tea tree. It is 100% natural. There is no synthetic applications, and it was founded in Malaysia. It's been used for centuries. Malaysia started using it for ceremonial purposes. They learned of the medicinal application possibilities and started applying them towards medicinal purposes. So Kratom has been around for a long time. It just recently made it to the United States, and currently the FDA is trying to push to have it banned and identified as a Schedule 1 substance, which categorizes it to the value of crystal meth, crack, cocaine, and all these other hardcore heroin, all these other hardcore synthetic drugs. They're trying to compare Kratom to those very dangerous, addictive drugs. Kratom is not addictive. I'm sorry. There are claims that say that Kratom is addictive. It is not. There's not an addictive property in Kratom. People do respect and enjoy the relief they experience when using Kratom and desire to have that happen more frequently. But there is no chemical in Kratom that is addictive. And the FDA wants you to think that it is, because as long as you think that it's addictive, you think that it's a dangerous drug, and therefore they can justifiably make it a Schedule 1 drug, Class 1 felony. See, the FDA pushed to the point where the FDA was trying to hold an emergency hearing back in 2012 to have Kratom banned. And had they succeeded, Kratom would be taken off the shelf. But the thing that is messed up is when they had this emergency hearing, the FDA did not provide the opportunity and the notification to the other side of the story, the ones that supported Kratom. So they didn't. FDA was trying to prevent society from being able to voice their opinions and their experiences that could offset their argument so that they could have the Kratom banned easier. So they've already gone through an illegal means to acquire that verdict and breaking our constitutional right to be able to participate in the decision process. So the FDA broke federal laws themselves in the process of having Kratom banned. But I have to hurry up. I'm almost to school. So what I was telling you, I woke up this morning in a lot of pain. I took Kratom, and the pain's not gone. The pain is still present. But look at me. I am functioning. I am an active member in society. I am moving about trying to make things better, people. Kratom is not this horrible, dangerous drug that the FDA is trying to convince you and all the other people in the world that it is. Kratom is a safe thing to have. I'll tell you, when I use Kratom, I do get a lift of energy. I get this boost of, let's do this. That's what I used to feel like without the pain. I got that feeling back. Now the FDA is trying to take it away because they say that it's a dangerous drug. Well, you know, FDA has even tried to claim that Kratom was the cause of 47 deaths dating back to 2012. Now, statistically, if you think about 47 deaths between 2012 to 2019, you only have 47 deaths that you can contribute. One is bad enough, but 47, you know, that's not many when you look at how many people die from smoking cigarettes each month. How many people die from alcohol every day? You get my point? So, in these 47 deaths, the FDA threw those out there to the panel at the emergency hearing, claiming that Kratom caused these deaths. Well, gratefully, the panel said, you know, something doesn't seem right. We're going to pull back and we're going to give the other side of the story a chance to be heard, which is what is required by law. And the FDA was trying to take that away. So upon further inspection or investigation of the autopsy reports, it was learned that those 47 deaths were actually a result of a polydrug death. Polydrug means multiple drugs. The coroner's report reflected that the kratom in their systems had not been there, was not of significant quantities that would have caused the death, and was only at traceable amounts that would reflect that they had not consumed kratom, that the victims had not consumed kratom within the 24-hour period of their death. But on the other side of the polydrug, other drugs and even alcohol were found in their systems at toxic and even deadly levels, and identified those other drugs such as heroin, crack, cocaine, alcohol as the actual cause of those deaths. So I am a living, breathing example of how well kratom works, people. I'm going to school. I am going to school. I am successfully going to school. I am set to graduate in the fall of 2019. Something I didn't think I'd ever be able to do because of my PTSD, my depression, and my severe chronic pain. And the narcotics didn't help. The narcotics was actually pushing me further into a depressive state. I actually attempted suicide twice. Now that I think about it, I can't believe I did. But it wasn't me. It was the narcotics and the influence that the narcotics have. And if you've never experienced some sort of an addiction to narcotics, you probably would not totally understand what I'm talking about. Narcotics is a natural depressant. And if you're already depressed, it intensifies that 100 times over. So it helped me lose that eerie, dark feeling. I mean, it was so bad that even when I walked down the sidewalk in the middle of the day on a sunny day, I was so depressed that it seemed like there was a cloud hovering above my head. And that cloud followed me everywhere. I mean, it was like even when the sun was out, everything was under a shadow. But the kratom helped get me past that. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't take narcotics. I don't drink alcohol anymore. And I'm an active, productive member in society again. Kratom works, people. And it's not bad. I recommend, if you don't know much about kratom, to do a little research. HanK out.